Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Meeting Your Soul podcast. My name is Farah. I'm your host, and today I have a wonderful guest. This is Shay, and we actually met through a breakfast that we connected with through mutual friends, and instantly just like hit it off. And she's also a yoga teacher. She's in real estate. We just had so much in common. I also have similar astrology placements where I was like, bing, 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 all over. And so then after that, we've been chatting, and I was like, you have to come on the pod, and we got to chat about spirituality, our journeys within it, the highs and lows and everything in between, because I think we're all kind of crafting our own story and navigating through this life in our own particular way, and to be able to support one another within that is really beautiful, and I think there's a lot of value that comes along with it. So thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me. I loved hearing you like spiel all of that. Yeah, it's so interesting. It's like my personal belief is that we are all ever connected, right? Like there's no separation.
True.
Any idea that we are separated is like totally an illusion, right?
Yeah.
But the spiritual journey, like the life path, right, is just like so personalized, individualized, and I think it can become really easy to feel siloed and like you're on an island all alone when you're walking this path. And so I'm really grateful to like be connecting with people who are doing the damn thing just like I am, because when I first got started, oh my gosh, like there was no one to talk to about this stuff. No one to talk to. I felt alone. I was seeing these like advertisements and like videos on Instagram that were like, you should always feel amazing, and like talking about the spiritual journey as if it's just some like grand adventure where you just always feel amazing and you're just having like God shot after God shot. And I'm looking at these people and I'm like, that is not what is happening over here. I am struggling.
I'm in the depths.
I am struggling and I'm by myself. It's dark. I can't see. Does anybody know what's going on?
I know. Well, it feels really alone, because you're like, am I going, like, and sometimes like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's happening. Every time I explain this to someone, they're not clicking. And especially if someone's not on a similar path or even curious about the path, which can be a large majority of the people that surround us.
Yeah.
It's like, they're like, why are you even doing that? Why are you even considering these things? Like, just keep doing what you're doing. Stay within like this box that it's been placed around you and stay on that. And it's like, no, like I want to break out of the matrix. I want to break out. I want to see that there's something more, but like that is unique for everybody. So but it takes a lot of, I think, courage to even go down the path, to be able to explore the shadow work, to be able to get into the depths and to like expose yourself to that. And but then again, it's all personalized, because our souls are all meant to be here for a certain reason, and they're going to have a unique experience in order for our personal evolution.
Yeah. And then you have that added layer of like how we were all brought up, right? Like we again, similar backstory. We've all been children.
Yeah.
We all came from the womb, right? We all have two parents. And just depending on where we, were plucked from the heavens or wherever you want to call it, and like placed on this planet, that experience is just so different for everyone.
Yeah, drastically different.
Yeah.
I know. Well, and so I'd love for you to be able to share, like, what has been your spiritual journey? Like, or when do you first remember even thinking about it as like a spiritual journey or a path?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. So it's interesting. And this is, I think I mentioned this to you before.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with even just talking about like people have a tendency to tell me that I'm a very spiritual and wise person. And even saying that out loud, I'm just like, ugh. And I know that's like, there's something there for me to look at, which I'm always willing to do. Yeah. But like when I think about this term spiritual journey, like for me, being alive is like a spiritual experience, right? Like there's so much going on internally, externally, and then we have this epidermis that kind of acts like a sensor, and like you can tap into that, and that can be the gateway, right? Or like the bond between the internal and the external. And so I guess when I first became aware of the fact that I wanted something more for myself than the way I was living, right? Like just extreme low self-esteem, extreme insecurity, not really a full working understanding of like how to live life, because I thought there was a way, right? To live life. I just assumed that everyone got a playbook, and I either didn't get one or like when I got it, I opened it up and it was empty. It was blank, And so that was me first getting on this, this path of like, how do I just be happy?
Yeah.
And I would say that probably started when I got sober, right? I got sober I started trying to get sober in probably, I want to say like the summer, fall of 2014.
Okay.
In 2015, I had kind of like a rock bottom.
Yeah.
And then in 2016 is when I finally got sober and, went through the 12 steps and got to the end and was still miserable.
Wow.
And just like, now
You're
what?
like, this is supposed to be like that cure.
Yeah.
Like what I was seeking.
Yeah, these 12 steps were supposed to fix me. And so, I'm not fixed. I'm actually miserable because now I don't have alcohol. So, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And I think from there it was like little baby steps, right? Like,
Got it.
I go to meetings and they talk about prayer and meditation all the time. Prayer and meditation. And I didn't get it. I'm like, meditation is not going to help me pay my bills. When actually it does.
Yeah. I was
Right.
like, funny that you say that because
Yeah.
there could be some ways, but yes.
In all actuality, it absolutely does, right? Because it gives me that ability to pause when agitated. And that's something that they say a lot in the rooms as well. It's like, it gives me this ability to like sit with discomfort
Yeah.
and still be able to go out into the world and be a contributing member of society,
Yeah.
right? And like, I didn't understand that when I was first getting into it. And so I started with meditation. That's home for me.
Yeah.
That is my grounding space. I will always go back there. I can meditate anywhere, honey. I mean, like, I don't care if there's birds screeching, kids screaming, and people fighting and shooting behind me. I'm just like, I will meditate anywhere.
Yeah,
like,
go into your own personal space.
Yeah.
But isn't that the whole purpose of meditation, is to be able to find your center no matter what chaos is going on around you too?
See, my personal belief is that meditation is supposed to be able to maybe not necessarily find center, but just be uncomfortable, right?
To be with the discomfort.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's okay. Like, it
Yeah.
is okay to be uncomfortable, and you can still go out into the world
Yeah.
and be kind and loving and present
Yeah.
and grounded, right? If you can get there. I can't always get there, but I can still go out
it's
into the
true.
world and be all those other things.
You can still operate and kind of like function within society, which then, and I'm pulling this back through just because I'm curious about it, because probably before sobriety, there was this option of not wanting to feel, like, if you felt discomfort, there was a coping skill for you to be able to escape from it, and then to be able to lean into meditation. Was that kind of that tool to be able to help anchor you? Or I'm just...
Yeah, that's a great question. I always find it really interesting when people talk about before they got sober, because I had no self-awareness. Like, part of, and like I try to talk about recovery in a general way, but part of the process of recovery is like doing a deep dive, right, into self. And when I did that part of the process, I was baffled by, this is who I thought I was. And then I'm looking at my own handwriting and like, this is who I actually am. Zero, like a deficit of self-awareness, right? Like, I didn't know why I was drinking. I was just doing it, right? Like, that's what people do. Right? My mom is sober, so I grew up with no alcohol, no drugs in the house. And so we didn't spend a lot of time around people who drank when I was a kid. And so when I think I had my first drink at 16 or 17. And then I didn't drink again until I left the house at 19. And my best friend was older, and so I just went to the bars. And, you're sad, have a drink. You're happy, have a drink. It's Wednesday night, go to happy hour. It's the weekend, go party with your friends. And that was it. I don't know. Like,
well, and it's so socially acceptable, not even just acceptable, but encouraged in a way. It's like the main kind of point of contact for why you even get together with people in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So there was like, it wasn't necessarily you were seeking that escapism. It was more of just like, this is just what I'm doing. And now it's become like a habit, or it's just something that I lean on. And if whatever emotion I'm feeling, then this is kind of my way to cope, or just like deal.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, what do you do when you're bored, right? And you don't have any hobbies because you don't know who you are. You just go to the bar. Have a couple drinks, get real social, talk to some people, maybe black out later. I don't know. It's and that's like really what it was.
Maybe black out later.
I don't know. But that's really part of my story. You know, like, just that's what I did, and then the blackouts got closer and closer together, and then there was like attempts to fight people, and it was just drinking every day and spending all my money. And I mean, my rock bottom was a suicide attempt because I was just spiraling so quickly. I didn't know how to get out of it. And then I made this really rash decision that immediately when I did it, I knew I didn't want it, but it had already been done, right? The action had already been taken. And thankfully I woke up the next day, and that was really what put me on the path to get sober. And then getting sober is what put me on the path to like, there's got to be something more than this, right? And so starting with meditation, I'd been practicing yoga since I was 20 or 21.
Oh, okay.
And so I just came home to yoga. right? Like I came home to moving my body because I
Yes.
hadn't done that in so long. I'd been lifting weights and I'd been running, but I hadn't been tapping in and tuning in that particular way that yoga helps you. Like
Yes,
for me,
exactly.
running that mental game, I love that. I love that challenge because I've always told myself I can't.
Yeah.
And so the first time I ran 5 miles was like, check. And then I ran 10 miles and it was like, check. And then I ran a full half marathon and it was like, check. And then I ran 15 miles and it was like, check. You know, like that is talking myself through that is like that's a spiritual practice for me for sure.
Absolutely. Well, and also to show yourself what you're capable of, especially when you feel like you can't do something, and then you do it.
So coming home to yoga was amazing. I think I started practicing again in 2015.
Okay.
And then in 2016, I was like, I want to share this gift with people. And then I got certified to teach. And from there, you know, I got really curious about yoga, right? Like not just this experience of moving my body, but what does it mean to study all the limbs, right? What does it mean? What does yoga mean for sound? What does it mean for breath? What does it mean for meditate? Like what is all that packaged together? That practice of yoga, what is that like?
Beautiful.
And I've always loved music, right? Like everybody loves music, right? And I've always loved bass, that vibration that goes through your body.
That soul hits it right in like, in your core.
And so I started chanting. Love me some chanting, girl. I'm really hoping to start putting stuff together to bring that to community soon because that is what opened the door to sound healing for me.
Oh, got it. Okay. I didn't know that.
It's like creating my own sound, right? But then also recognizing that there's tools and instruments that we can use to create sound as well. And so the crystal singing bowls that's where I got curious. And actually before that, tuning forks.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm super interested in tuning forks because vibration can heal, right? We've got this energy that can get stuck in our bodies, and the tuning forks help break that up so you can release that. And so I went from that is where I jumped to the crystal singing bowl. So I've just been like exploring all of it. I am endlessly curious about any and everything, and I'm pretty reserved, and like I'm definitely an introvert, right? And so like I don't get out and about as much as maybe some other people do, but I will try anything once.
Yes.
Anything. Like I'm a yes girl when it comes to having new experiences.
Yeah.
And so I've just been out in the world doing stuff, you know, like breath work. Sure, I'll try it. You know, like crystal singing bowl. Sure, I'll try it. You know, you want to go jump off a mountain? Sure, I'll try it. You know, like I'll try anything once. Especially when it comes to healing. Like I'm definitely interested because I want to, you know, there's so many diverse experiences and so many diverse possibilities, and why not just take it all on? And if you don't like it, you don't have to do it again, right?
Exactly.
And then you've got something to pull from because everything is useful.
Yes. Well, and I think so many people, they get introduced to different healing modalities, and some things are going to click for some while others click for others. And it's like being able to be exposed to that, to be curious. I love how you said this. They're like to be curious about it because it's just to have an open mind to be able to receive whatever benefits you have in that moment. And then again, you can take it in your tool belt, you can keep it, or you can like release it and be like, that was really great. I'm happy I did it, but I'm probably not going to do that again.
Yeah. And I feel like it all, like everything comes full circle, right? Like everything that I've learned in my past, I use in my business now. Like all of my businesses actually, you know, like every single bit of it's become useful, right down to the failures, the fears, like the crazy redirections, you know, like all of it's become useful, whether it's given me an ability to become more adaptable, or more structured, or I've learned really good lessons about when it's really time to cut ties and let go and just be like, you know, walk away, but without resentment and anger, right? Like, oh, okay, that's just not working. Let's just go another direction.
Yeah, and let's let it go.
Yeah.
Well, and so this has kind of like navigated you through. So you've had like a huge like breadth of experiences that I think have all contributed, that kind of making a very multifaceted person, which I think is the moment we started talking and I was like just kind of the interest in how they all blend in together. And I think that that's what creates like a multidimensional person though. Like that's what creates a human that's having all of these experiences, but you're able to articulate them and I think tie them all in together in a very beautiful way. And and just as a teacher and just someone that's like to be able to communicate with. So I thank you for sharing your story and just kind of how all of that's blended into who you are today.
Yeah, I thank you for asking, and thank you for asking me to be here. I feel like very loved right now. I'm feeling a little shy. I'm like blushing a little bit. It's interesting. I don't get to talk about this stuff a lot. And so like being able to sit down with someone and just like have a seamless stream of seamless stream of thought. There we go.
Yeah.
Talking about like all these experiences and how I get to collect these things. And you know, this was really born out of this idea of I call it Operation Big Beautiful Life.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I did not know this. Okay.
Operation Big Beautiful Life. It is this idea that I am not going to do anything that I don't want to do.
You're like, I might be leaning into my slightly rebellious nature, and I'm going to do things I want to. But also the fact that you have that's a possibility, that you have the right to be able to create a big, beautiful life and do what you feel and do what you enjoy, and that there's nothing holding you back from that. Obviously, there's going to be like strife in everyone's life at different points and times, but that you can kind of like shift gears, that you can move on, you can let go, and that you can keep continuing to be able to build a life that you actually love, that you actually enjoy being a part of.
Yeah. I remember the first time I heard the phrase, joy is my birthright. And
My teacher always says that.
did not, I feel like a piece of me really wanted to reject that, right? And I have a feeling that that's because there's this little piece of Shay that really believes that she's not worthy, right?
Yeah.
And I think we all have that to some degree. Some of us have a big part of ourselves that feel that way. And, you know, if you're one of those people, know that you can chip away at that.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you may not be able to fully get rid of it, right? But the pieces that you aren't able to get rid of, you will learn how to love and nurture and just like hold and be like, I'm here, I care for you. And now I'm a firm believer, right? Like once you have enough life experiences, and that's not to say that I'm like this old wise person, you know, like I'm 40, I'm still relatively young.
Yeah.
But I've had enough experiences, particularly working for other people, to know that like like I said before, I'm endlessly curious. I want to do all the things, right? I want to lift women up. I want to help people heal. I want to create space where people feel safe enough to start to dig into that gunk.
Yes.
And I can't do that if I'm only working, you know, at this one job to do this one thing because I have to pay my bills, right?
Yeah.
And so that one job to do this one thing because I have to pay my bills is going to be something that I love to do.
Yeah.
And so that's why I work at the nonprofit, right? Working with domestic violence survivors. I love that work. It doesn't feel like work. Oh my God, what a blessing, what a gift, right?
Yeah, true.
And then I get to write these workshops. And, you know, for a long time, I've written my workshops for women. I just started rebranding yesterday. So I've got my whiteboard over here with all of my like keywords so that I can start opening up my services to anyone who's looking to come into that kind of space.
Yeah.
And then I get to practice real estate because I know that's a really hard thing to walk through sometimes, particularly for someone who's never purchased a home before. And I have all these skills that I can bring into that space too, helping people ground themselves while they, you know, while an underwriter just like pries through all their financial background.
What is one of the most stressful experiences that people have in their lives, especially if they don't know, and to have someone advocate for them that they can trust. Like that is a big deal because like it's one of the biggest purchases they'll ever make in their life too. So
and I worked in mortgage lending off and on for 10 years.
Oh, I didn't
so
know that.
like I know the closing process from front to back and back to front. And so like I can be like, this is why that's happening. This is why that's happening. You know, like it's
shine
okay.
some light on like kind of something that can seem very mysterious and just like unnerving. Yeah. But I think that also there's a lot of beauty in that because I think having these other experiences, these other things that you do, you relate to people on a different level as well. Because like it's not like all just like I had one of my clients, they're like, she's like, actually like appreciated that you were also in real estate. And I was like, why? And she's like, because you're like, you're obviously very driven, but then like you like aren't just sitting on a mountaintop somewhere meditating. Like you're in life, you are in the trenches just as much as everybody else while still trying to live a spiritual, like connected life. And I was like, yeah, because I think that we all, like, I think that's really this movement, this collective movement is to be able to make spirituality more relatable, more real so that it's able to kind of span across a broader population as well.
Yeah.
But but tell me more about the workshops because I know that you kind of highlighted them a little bit, but I don't think I know what they are, but I don't think that we've talked about them quite yet.
Yeah, so the workshops are, and actually to be really transparent, I have not facilitated a workshop since before COVID.
Oh yes, I remember you saying that.
When everything went down, lots of people moved their services online. I am a person who really thrives off of energetic exchange, right?
Yeah.
Like I love this type of vibe.
Yeah.
I love hosting small groups of people who get together and they're like something happens in the
It
room.
does.
It is magic. And I didn't want to take that online.
Yeah.
And so
it's just not the same.
It's not the same. And I feel like I can't fully show up as myself in those spaces either and like really give the energy that I want to give. And so I just, stopped operating.
But back in.
Yeah.
It's like back in it.
Yeah, in a different way.
Yeah.
So previously, my workshops were really just geared towards women
Okay.
of all races, background, ages.
Yeah.
And it started as this kind of introspective, like, let's just get curious about like who we are as women and start to have a dialogue around some of the things that go through my mind on what feels like daily basis, right?
Yeah.
Like some of the things that I was really struggling with when I first got sober and woke up to the world and like my own discomfort in it, was like, okay, I have really low self-esteem. Wow, I did not know that. I am like afraid of other women. I did not know that either. I am constantly comparing myself to other women, and guess who's always coming up short? Like, does anybody else deal with this? And so I really just brought that to a group of women, and I told them that, and I said, do you have experience with this? What do you do about it? And then I just left it open, with a final question of like, what's it like to be you in 2016?
Yeah.
And that conversation has kind of rolled and spiraled and morphed, and it keeps, changing
Continues
its
to
hat.
grow. Yeah.
Yeah. And we talk about everything from consent to building healthy relationships with other women to learning how to trust other women to shine theory, which is just like one of my favorite things
I
because
don't think I've heard of this.
shine theory is really just the idea that like no woman is your competition. No other woman is your competition. If you see another woman who appears to be more beautiful, more successful, more fill in the blank than you, you just root for her and you try to get to know her rather than labeling her or labeling yourself, right?
Yeah.
And like, something can happen and that can be like this beautiful connection between two women and you might, gain a friend for life. You might learn something. You may gain a new skill. Who knows? But I really love that because when I was first getting to know women, jealousy came up a lot for me.
Yeah.
Turns out I'm also really competitive.
It's the Aries in you.
I'm really extremely competitive. I'm a perfectionist. I'm always like lining things up to see how they measure up. Like I, very particular about certain things. I know it sounds like you are too. And so like I struggle with that a lot. And so Shine Theory really helped me to practice leaning into being curious, again, back to that word curiosity about another woman in that discomfort. And then learning, oh my God, she's human, and she's amazing, and like I can have this too, right? Because we're all just mirrors for each other.
And that's, I think, the beautiful part about it is I can have that too. Just because she's this way doesn't mean that I can't be, and that we can actually support each other in that, and that we can inspire one another. And I think that that's, again, I think once you get more secure within who you are, which took me a very long time to do, I was able to support my friends and my family and like really want the best for them, to like truly be rooting them on, because like I want you to shine. And so that's why I didn't know that was the Shine Theory, but it's like I truly want you to shine because like I care about you. So why would I want anything else?
Right.
Yeah.
And
I think it's really, and I'm just kind of going into this because I think that it's really difficult when then you have that for someone else and then there's not necessarily the same in return. And that is like, it breaks my heart. And it's one of those things actually I'm currently like kind of like grappling with because like, people want to see you successful, but not more successful than them. As like a phrase that I heard once. And it's like, and like, I feel like people almost like celebrate when someone's struggling versus when they're winning. And like, I'm the complete opposite. And I'm like, no, like, I just want to see you do well. And I like care about you. Like that is truly where I'm coming from. But I think it's a difficult thing. And I think there's so much subconscious layers that get looped into that as well, that it's like having to kind of dredge that up and to be able to address it, to be able to really heal through it. But how did you like what came up in these workshops, and like even like what are your personal thoughts about all of this?
I think the most common theme in across all of my workshops is separation, right? Isolation, this belief that I am terminally unique, that I am alone in the way that I feel, the way that I think. No, I'm broken and no one else is broken like me. That is a pretty common theme. And watching that happen, that connectedness happen, is amazing, right? Because it all of a sudden I'm not alone, right?
Yeah. Establishes trust.
Yeah, yeah. And that's probably my favorite part, and I think that's probably why I didn't take the workshops online.
Yeah.
Because that experience that women get to have who
Yeah.
felt so isolated in their own feelings of unworthiness for so long, they get to feel that, and I think this kind of plays a little bit into your feelings about success. It's like once you feel that commonality, right? Like there's unhealed parts of me, there's unhealed parts of you, and then we both start to let's say we both start to heal, but then one of us, our path quickens, right? And then I feel stagnant, and I can see you, and I'm happy for you, but I'm like, shit, I'm still down here, right? And so like, what do I do with that? And I feel like that's a personal struggle that calls that person to go deeper, and it's just up to them whether or not they're ready for that, right? And so like I personally believe that we keep calling in what we need constantly, right? We're magnets. And so we just keep calling stuff in, and and to me it's like a spiral, right? Like I have this model, it's like a spiral. It's like I think I keep coming back to the same lesson, but not really, right?
Yeah, it's like
I'm leveling up just a little bit. And it's really slow, but I'm still moving like an inchworm, across a road in the heat. Man, let me tell you, God, what are we doing here? Yes. Can I get some help?
I'm burning.
Where is the fast forward button?
Yeah.
Can I get a sign? But yeah, like I
so
think
many
that's
of those. Yeah, keep going.
no, sorry. I was gonna say I think that's part of it. I think that's part of that process of like, and that's so like that breaks my heart in a way, because like I know that experience personally, right? And it's all rooted in the same thing. Lack, scarcity, not enough, right? And until I can start to believe that there's always enough, that wisdom is infinite, love is infinite, right? Like there's an abundance of all of it, and until I can start to believe that, like I may not get there, right? And so sometimes I think for me I have to talk it before I can, and then I have to walk it, right? Because sometimes I talk it for a long ass time, and my feet aren't moving, and then I get my feet moving, and then my heart is like, oh, I see where you're going. I'm into this, and then everybody's on board, and I can like really walk with purpose, and but it takes a while for some people. I'm some people. I am definitely some people.
Well, and I don't think. It's definitely, I think it varies, and at different points in time, I think that we all we can be feeling really good, and then we kind of go into the slumps, and then we pull back out, and it's like, and I think in those moments, like, I'm just trying, like, at least what I'm working on right now is like just offering myself grace in that. Like, if I'm having a bad day where I do feel that comparison, or I do just feel shitty about myself, in all honesty, it's like, it's okay, because like, I'm here, there's a reason why I'm probably feeling this way, and I'm just going to allow myself to do that. And like, also discomfort comes up for a reason. So what is that discomfort? Try not to overanalyze, which I can do very easily. I was like, and then I'm like, why? What is the root cause? Let me go deeper. There
Love
must
a why.
be.
Yes, girl. Me and my journal.
But I know
Why? But why?
But why do I
like a
feel this?
4-year-old out here?
And then it's just like,
to the bottom of this.
I'm going to. I was like, but then sometimes it's like just being okay with like, does there always have to be a why?
And that's that balance, right? Like sometimes the shitty thing is just the shitty thing. Girl, go on about your day.
Yeah.
Go to work.
Move along.
Go to work.
Keep moving. Let it be. Let it be. Let that shit be, because it does not matter. And like that. But it's hard, because it's like, I don't want to bypass, which can happen. Right. I don't want to spiritually bypass, and I want to be like, it's fine, it's cool. I don't like, but I feel like that line is like, I'm not repressing it. I'm feeling it. I'm in it. But then also I'm not going to like wallow in it. And I think that's just been this very, very, like, it's always that tightrope that I'm walking along within life, to be able to be present enough to show up for it, but then not to like ruminate, which can happen sometimes too.
Yeah. Oh, I love a good rumination.
Oh, just like
I will
rolling
just sit
around.
Yes, girl. Look, I'm comfortable. Okay, in this mud. I'm just gonna lay here all damn day, and then I'm gonna call you later and complain about how I laid in it all day. And you have to listen.
Friendship, having people that you can call and lean on in those moments where you're struggling, I think is absolutely critical, because I think that we need to be able to support each other on these paths. But I'm curious, like, has there been like a significant low point that's occurred within your life where like it was like hard to come back up to the surface, that there was like kind of, it took some time? Or do you feel like it's kind of just like little things that happen on a day-to-day basis where you can kind of like struggle, and how do you continue on?
Yeah, living without any kind of like band-aid, right? And I'm thinking specifically of like being sober and like
Yeah.
being on this planet, which feels like a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
And then also being a naturally, and I hesitate to say that because, I think when I was a little tiny tot, I think I was pretty carefree and kind of just like running around, interested in everything. And,
Yeah.
but I have a lot of childhood trauma, and I think a lot of us do. And
Yeah.
my anxiety started probably at around age 6 or 7. And so it's been a long time companion of mine. And it's something that I still, it's always with me. It's always with me. And also a person who, battles depression. And so I think the combination of all of those things, life can feel really heavy sometimes, and my world can get really small. And I forget that there's other people on this planet, and I forget that there's people on this planet that care about me. And so navigating those waves, right? Those currents can feel overwhelming, unbearable at times. But what I love about this whole process of, walking I guess a spiritual path is that at no point do I not want to be here. And that's a huge difference from before, I got sober. I think if I could speak to a low point in sobriety, I would say doing shadow work. Now, I say that with a caveat. Okay. Like, I did not know what I was getting myself into. I'd read about it online, right? And I knew that it was going to be hard. I'm always up for a challenge, though. Like, hard that doesn't faze me. I'm like, bring it. I'm an Aries.
Let's
and
go.
With a Taurus moon. I'm like, let's go. Horns coming at you. So not afraid of hard work, right?
No.
However, I wish I had really integrated myself into a community where there had been those who'd gone before me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that I knew as I was coming down from that, because what I did is I wrote myself a very extensive fear inventory. And so I looked at every fear, every insecurity. I wanted to see how it showed up in my day-to-day life. So I cataloged how it shows up in my interactions with myself, how each fear, each insecurity shows up in my interaction with other people, and then how it shows up in my interactions with God. And then I wrote down every blockage that is birthed from that space. And that, I'm so hard on myself. That experience took me from kind of like, oh, you can be you can do better, right? Like I'm always trying to self-encourage to almost like I was my own whipping post, you know. How could you not see this? And so like that was a pretty low point. And then when you're in shadow work, they do tell you that you might have this tendency to want to like withdraw because it's such an emotional undertaking.
It is.
And I'm already an introvert, and I don't mind being at home at all. Like, this is my little oasis. I mean, it's like
it's quite cozy though. I can understand why.
I want my home to be a space. Right. This is my grounding space. This is where I feel safe and comfortable, and so I set it up that way on purpose because I don't think I had that before. And so like I naturally will have a natural tendency to just like be at home. Not to say that I don't like to get out, I do, but I just, this is my space. And so that kind of like magnified. And I pulled away from everybody, and I didn't have anyone to go to talk about what was happening between my ears. And there was a lot going on in there, and a lot of it was scary,
And it can be really intense to be able to even just navigate.
Oh my God, so intense. And so that felt very lonely. I felt very isolated. Again, I felt like I was on an island. And so I did a lot of reading about it. I was, I love me some therapy, so I'm constantly in therapy. I still see a therapist. Did a lot of writing about it. Talking to my therapist about it, who's very familiar with shadow work, and like that was helpful.
Good.
And I think, what I do when I am getting into those like kind of low points in life where I'm just feeling the anxiety, feeling the depression, all the things that I have been collecting along the way, right? Like meditation, breath work, prayer, body movement, which is not always yoga necessarily. Sometimes it's literally just like shaking
Yeah.
or
Some
rocking.
therapy, yeah.
I smudge every morning before I leave my house. I smudge every night before I go to bed. I do a physical and a spiritual cleanse every day. So that's like shower, smudge, right? In the morning, shower, smudge at night before I go to bed.
I love that.
Like cleansing my thoughts, cleansing my body, cleansing my spirit, like those types of things. I got my crystals. I'm like charging those in my windowsill. And I will often meditate with some of those, or like maybe I'll hold one in one hand and one in the other.
Oh,
And I'll just meditate like that.
Yeah.
I do Reiki. I have a friend that I see for Reiki.
Yeah. I started incorporating a regular Reiki session, or that energetic cleansing, I think is often underestimated because a lot of people don't do it. And, you know, where do you even learn to do this? You know, it's not even something that necessarily comes up in most people's day to day.
Yeah.
But especially for people that are a little bit more sensitive or highly sensitive, it's like, it really does make a huge difference in just the way that you feel and kind of like engage and kind of interact with the world around you and kind of that state of being on like your baseline, what your baseline is.
Yeah.
But, I do also want to say thank you for sharing that low point and just kind of going into kind of how that transpired for you. And then also kind of like how you were able to pull yourself through it.
Yeah.
But was there a defining turning point, or do you feel like like do you feel like you're on the other side of it, I guess the best way to put it up?
No. And I think for me, that's a good thing because I want immediate results. Like I want to do the thing and I want the result. I want to see it. I want to hold it. I want to feel it. And I want to tell you about it. Right.
Yeah.
Look at this thing I did. My experience with shadow work has been that it is an continuously unfolding process.
Yeah.
Right. And so what have I been noticing?
Yeah.
Telling people no is not a problem. The way that it used to be.
You're like,
Not a
fine
problem.
with saying no.
Fine saying with no.
Yeah.
Definitely am learning to not take myself so seriously. Farrah, I take myself so seriously.
Really?
Just like I am just like always gotta, always gotta be growing. Always gotta be growing.
Yeah.
Every little mistake I make, perfectionist, right? Every little mistake I make, I'm cataloging it, I'm journaling about it. Like I just, so finding that in that sweet spot, that in between space of like just this is really funny, Shay. Like just let this be funny. This is a hilarious life experience. Just let it be funny.
Yeah.
Or so you said the wrong thing, or so you offended someone. Like,
it's okay.
I have gotten. I didn't think that I was a person who would ever get to this space, but and I'm really trying not to swear, but I'm going to. The fuck it's.
I was like, fuck it. I was just gonna say, I was like, fuck it.
That's like a personal life choice. I don't know where it's coming from. It feels weird in my body, swearing these days. So I'm I'm playing around with not doing it to see what that's all about.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I kind of like it because it forces me to be more creative. And as a writer, like I'm like getting more creative with my language. I'm like, this is kind of fun. But like totally is the case of the fuck. It's just like, I'm in it now, or it's happening now, or it'll be fine. Like
this will all be okay.
Yeah, a lot less worry about like what's gonna happen if I make the wrong choice. Just fuck up and let it be a fuck up, and maybe something great will happen. Maybe something unexpected will happen. Maybe it'll be horrible, and you'll be fine. You'll be embarrassed for a little while, and then it's good to go.
Yeah.
That's been really cool. And I think I was mentioning to you before we started, something neurologically is going on with me, and I will see a neurologist because I think that's important. As a writer and a person who has done like a decent amount of public speaking, getting my words mixed up is a very strange experience to me. It's happening when I teach yoga. It's happening in like regular conversation with people. I'm like stuttering. But I do know that as our brain changes, those little wrinkles, they start to change, right? And like neurons can start to, they can start to fire in different ways.
Yeah.
And so to me, this can be like a really good thing.
You might be reprogramming your like pathways within your brain, your neural pathways.
I could be.
And they're not just like firing or syncing up the way that they used to before.
Could be.
I'm not a neurologist. I was just like thinking.
So we're still going to see a neurologist.
We're just
but also, and what I love about that though is like another result of having done the shadow work is like I'm open to new possibility, right? Like I'm open to the possibility that like because previously I would have been like I totally have brain cancer, and now I'm just like you know, it could be something serious. It could not be something serious. And like, either way, I'm going to be okay. You know, like, I think like those are the kinds of results that I'm seeing. I'm still insecure as hell, right? I'm still neurotic, right? Like, I still have self-esteem issues. And I'm okay with all of that. You know, like, whereas before I would never tell you that I'm insecure. Ever. Who, nobody needs to know that, right? Like, you need to see me as a strong Black woman who has her shit together. And the reality is, most days I don't know what the hell is going on this earth. I'm just like, trying to make it through the day, right? I'm just like, okay, it's noon.
Making it through.
I can go to bed without feeling weird about it in 8 hours. You know, like, I'm
Without feeling weird about
just
it.
like trying to make it
8
through the
p.m.
day.
is solid, I know.
It's pretty solid time, right?
But I appreciate you sharing that, because I think that there's these moments where, like, you got to fall into acceptance.
Oh, yes.
Right? It's like, it's a little bit of that surrender of like, life is life.
Yeah.
And like, I can do what I can. I can take action. I can take inspired action as much as I want to. I'm going to, like, you know, and I can try to be the best version of myself. I can show up as fully and authentically as I can. But sometimes shit's not going to work out. Or sometimes things are going to go astray. Or sometimes I'm still going to feel a certain way about myself or about life or a situation. And that's all okay.
It's all, like, all of it's okay, you know? And like, another really big, I'm gonna say gift of doing shadow work for me was that when I first started, I thought that I was supposed to bring this stuff up so that I could, you know, like, shed
release,
it, get rid of it, release it, right? Like, I have been in ultimate fix Shay mode since I got sober, right? And like, this whole, and like, getting through the end of that extremely painful process and still having fear and insecurity, I was just like, what in the hell, God? Like, I'm working hard. Like, can I get, like, throw me a bone? And the bone came in the form of the realization that there is nothing to fix because I'm not fucking broken. I'm not broken. None of us are broken.
No.
It's just like, we're just out here living life, collecting experiences. We assign meaning to them, and then we operate based on those descriptions, right?
Those
whether we know it or
that we've
not.
shaped. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, there's nothing broken. There's nothing to fix. Like, this whole time I've been trying to get rid of stuff when really all I've needed to do is love and accept. Love and accept, right? And so, like, that's the goal today. Like, that's the work today.
Yeah.
How can I be tender with myself today? How can I be gentle with myself today? How can I be patient with myself today? Compassionate, kind, loving. Like, how can I treat myself the way that I treat the women in my workshops?
Crazy concept, right?
Super crazy concept. So simple, though, you know? So that's where, like, and that, like, that makes me emotional to think about that, because it's just like, where did I get that idea from? That I needed to be fixed?
Or that
Where
you
did that
needed to
came
be
from?
perfect, or you needed to be something in order to deserve the love and that acceptance.
Yeah.
To be worthy, to be enough.
Yeah. Where did that come from? And the answer is, I have no idea.
But,
right.
Well, and from like every freaking like outlet within our society, within our parental programming, if they, you know, conscious or not, that they kind of impose that on us, or the images that we see all around us, or these comparisons, or a lot of people being the perfect version of themselves when they're out and not allowing those insecurities, not voicing those, not sharing them with others to remind us that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the love, so what would you say you are within your, because the love and acceptance journey has been extremely difficult one for me, and I finally feel like I like myself for the first time. You know, the second time. I liked myself before when I went through yoga teacher training, went through a big spiritual journey. But then I just, you know, life happens. And then I just like I fucked up a few times. I messed up, and like, I didn't mess up. I went back in. And I thought that I had figured it all out, but then life kept happening and I didn't. Yeah. And so then to come out the other side, to go through another big transformation and to like myself again, I just feel really grateful. I feel really fortunate. But then at the same time, I still have my fucking bad days.
Yeah.
I still have days where I'm just like, and I know I still have so much more room to grow. Yeah. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, where are you at now within maybe your spiritual journey, within your self-love journey? Like, where do you see yourself?
Well, I definitely like myself. To me, Shay is kind of like, to me, I am that friend that you just love to have around, right? Because she's solid.
Yeah.
And she like has these like random wise thoughts that she shares with you, and then she just like bounces off, and like you don't see her for 3 months because
Yes.
she's like in a hole somewhere reading a book, you know.
Yeah.
And she's a perfectionist,
Yeah.
right? And she's got like, you know, a little bit of sass, a little bit of spice, and like sometimes she annoys the shit out of you because she thinks she knows so much, but you just can't help but love her. Like that's how I feel about Shay.
Aw.
Like she's like that friend that you know is like always going to be there.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just want to be like, you annoy the shit out of me.
I swear every Aries thinks that about themselves. But every friend around you is like, you don't know me, you're just hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I do.
And I feel like that's like a really weird way to describe it, but it's just like the friend that I would never want to go away, you
Yeah.
know? It's like it's just a really interesting place to be because I've spent so many years really not liking myself. Like, Farrah, when I first got sober, I could not look at myself in the mirror. Makes me emotional.
I know, it's like a heartbreak a little bit.
It's like, boo boo. Yeah. And then when I did, I would like burst into tears. Like that is where I've come from. So now I spend a little too much time looking in the mirror.
And then you're like,
We done swung away in the other direction. Right?
as you should.
That's
Yeah.
but that's part of the journey, right? It's like the more I start to look at, you know, and like accept and love what's happening in here, right?
Yeah.
The soul level, the more beautiful I become to myself.
Yes.
And
I think that's so true.
And ironically, the less makeup I wear, right? The less I need to, you know, I spent a lot of my life heavier. Lost a bunch of weight, and then I know. Let's be honest, Shay. I spent a lot of time wearing like really revealing clothes, and that's not to say that like that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
The reason that I was doing it was because I thought that was going to get me, you know,
Attention or
yeah,
the praise.
yeah. And not necessarily the kind of attention that I later realized that I wanted, right? And so like even the way I dress has changed, you know, because I'm not feeling this need to like seek attention.
Yeah. Or
right?
even like get that external validation.
Right. Yeah. And I think you and I talked about this before. It's like if I'm out in the world dating and I get too many like sexy vibes from a guy that I'm like on a date with, I get, you know, apprehensive.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a turn off. It turns into a turn off because you're like, you're not seeing me.
Yeah.
You're seeing this physical body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of like the person behind it.
Yeah. And there's a lot going on in here and it's all really interesting. So
And you should want to know
what's going on in here. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It seems like you're kind of at this culmination point of like, I'm in the like I'm still in the work. I'm doing the work. I'm still learning and discovering myself. And I think we're ever changing. So there's always something new to be able to uncover, but that you like have come to a point where you actually like, you know, you like what you see and like, you like who you are, which I think is a huge accomplishment. Cause I don't think a lot of people ever get there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think I have a very healthy relationship with myself today. You know, a very healthy relationship. I don't have any illusions about who I am.
Yeah.
I know who I am. And that's why I don't argue with people about who I am.
You're like, I don't need to prove anything.
I don't need to prove it. And also like the idea is just exhausting. I'm just like, okay, and that doesn't happen very often. It'll like every once in a while it'll come up where someone will have an opinion about me or like they'll see me do something or hear me say something and they'll like write a story about it and then try to tell me that story and I'm just like, oh, okay, you know, on to
That's a story that you made up actually.
Yeah. I think I really just say I can't help you with that.
Yeah.
You know, that's and then I move on to the next thing. I feel like I'm reaping the rewards of the work that I've done and again, that's not to say that I'm happy every day. You know, like I woke up this morning and I was like, here we are again.
You're like,
here we are again.
I'm not in a good space.
It is 3:35 a.m. Why am I awake? Here we are again. And then you know what I did? I listened to a meditation. Excuse me. I listened to a trust the universe affirmation. It's like my favorite thing to do right now.
Yes, I know we were just talking about this.
Yeah. And then I got up and I made some decaf coffee because I'm only drinking decaf right now.
Oh, okay.
And then I went and taught yoga. And then I came home and I went to sleep and now I'm talking to you. And like I feel fine. You know, like we're all good. You know,
Life is good.
Life is good.
But then it's like, yeah, and we talked about this a little bit earlier too, but like riding the waves
Yeah.
of life and
Yeah.
like allowing yourself to feel whatever's coming up.
Yes.
Again, you can kind of sometimes maneuver your way through it if you like, okay, like let me anchor, let me meditate, let me do some things. But like also if this is continuing on, if this is still like this, there's this residual like kind of like frustration that's there, like just letting it be there too.
I do not have time to spend all day trying to stop feeling bad. I ain't got time. I'm busy. I got 3 jobs. You know, like,
Don't we both? Don't we both?
I got stuff to do. We gonna ride this wave, Shay. It's gonna be all right. And tomorrow we're gonna wake up. It's gonna be a new day and a new feeling.
Yes.
You know that from experience. It's okay.
Well, and like to write it and like to still like, okay, I feel this way, but I'm gonna get through my day. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not like disregarding it, but I'm just gonna keep going. And again, tomorrow's a new day. This is temporary. Like let's see what else comes of it.
Yeah, and I love too. Like throughout the day, I'm you know I will tell God I'm open to a new experience. Right, I'm open to a shift in perspective because if there's something that I'm not seeing that you think I need to see, I'm here for it. You know, you just let me know. And in the meantime, thank you for this experience because this is teaching me resilience. Right, this is teaching me to stay open-minded. It's teaching me to stay willing. And I am proving to myself, I am showing myself right now that despite discouragement, I can still show up. And like that's new for me, right? Like normally I would just be in bed all day. I wouldn't answer anybody's phone calls. I'd just be out, you know. I'd like go to a yoga class somewhere where I don't know anybody and hide in the corner. Don't talk to me, you know. And that's just not my experience today. Today, no matter how I'm feeling, I'm gonna ask you how you're doing because I care. I want to know, you know. And like the world doesn't revolve around me, and the world doesn't stop because Shay's having a bad day or a tough day or you know. My life is amazing. It is beautiful, right? Like everything that I started out to accomplish. When I first had that idea of Operation Big Beautiful Life has come to fruition.
Yeah.
Whether it's been, you know, really hard or really easy to accomplish, I'm here. I'm where I want to be. I don't do anything I don't want to do today.
Yeah.
And that is amazing and a gift, you know,
It
and like
is,
it's I think it can be really easy to lose sight of that, right?
Yeah.
But I like to remind myself of like where I was, how I started and like where I am now. And just like little stuff, like I have running water.
Yeah.
I have a bed to sleep in at night, you know?
I do gratitude every day.
Yeah.
And it's often, sometimes, and you know, usually there's some other things, but if I can't think of anything else, I have a bed to sleep on. And when I first moved out of my ex's place, or out of our place, I didn't have a bed. I didn't have a couch. I was laying on the ground, and I was just like, that was a difficult moment for me. And so then ever since then, I'm like, I got a bed.
Yeah.
I got comfortable. I was able to purchase a bed. I was able to purchase on my own nice sheets, things that I enjoy. I get to feel comforted, like within my own sanctuary, within my own space. I can afford to have a roof over my head.
Right.
And that's like, you know, sometimes I think a lot of people take that for granted.
100%. Yeah. When I got out of my car to go to the elevator to teach class this morning, there was a guy sitting out in the elevator space.
Yeah, like lobby area?
Yeah, he was just like sitting on the floor with a bag of oranges and like a backpack.
Oh, wow.
You know, it is. I think it was I think I got there at 5:50 a.m.
Yeah.
You know, where did he sleep last night?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
You know. So I said good morning because that's what you do when you see another human, right?
Yes.
I asked him if he was okay and if he had enough food for the day.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like thank you God. Like that could easily be me.
It could easily be anyone. You know, different circumstances, different life experiences lead us all in different directions. And feeling like, I think I'm a big believer. I always talk to anyone, like I will say hi to anybody on the street, but especially homeless people in particular. I'll make an effort to like make eye contact with them and see them because I think that they so often get ignored. To be able to see them as humans that you are, you know, reminds them that they are worthy.
Yeah.
If even it's just a hello. And that's such a simple thing to do and it's just so often forgotten.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful that you do that. For some reason I'm not surprised.
People did it for me, right? We pay it forward. Learn, grow, give it away, right? Like everything that I am today came from somewhere else, right? Like this isn't how I live isn't new. You know, none of it's new. It's just I made a decision, right? Like I want to live a life of service. And like, that's part of it, right? Like showing up, learning how to stop withholding myself from the world. Cause that's one of my things that I do is to, you know, withdraw, and start speaking up, you know, in a lot of different ways, right? Telling the truth about how I actually feel, and then also like actively engaging with the other people on this planet, because like both of those things are important. So
well, and sharing your gifts, and I think that living your dharma, living your true purpose and what you're supposed to do on this earth is the ultimate form of service, because you're sharing what God intended you to share with the world around you. But I don't think we can do that until we've fully lived, until we're like really in our life experience and like showing up for that completely, to be able to like really authentically and like honestly kind of share what's coming up for us, and to find that connection within the people and within the communities around us too.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting concept for me, because when I first started, when my consulting business, I was pretty early in this process. And
really?
so, and so like the idea of showing up honestly, you know, I think for a really long time, I don't think I really fully understood what it meant to be honest, right? I think I saw honesty as telling you what I'm feeling right now, right? So like if I'm angry, I'm going to tell you that I'm angry, right? But like honest to the degree where I can fully talk about my experiences, or my insecurities, or my fears, or my desires, or why I did that thing or said that thing, like the root cause behind that, right? Like that deep shadow conscious stuff, subconscious stuff. I didn't know how to do that. And I didn't know that I didn't know how to do that, right? But I was still showing up in these spaces, creating spaces, asking questions, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Do you know what you're doing? Let's talk about it together. And I think that's why my workshops were free for a long time too, because it's like, I don't know what's best for you.
I don't have the answers.
I don't have the answers,
no.
you know? And I think
there's healing. There's so much healing that comes along with that all on its own too.
Oh yeah. I mean, that space wasn't just for these women, right? Like, I think that we lean into what we need for ourselves as well. And I love that, because I get to learn and grow, and then I get to I always have this visual of like me reaching my hand forward and having a woman reach back, right? And then me reaching back, like, and that's how that works, right? We're all connected once again. Yeah. I love that. Makes me really happy to think about that.
Well, and the fact that you're creating those spaces, you know, and different, and that you're jumping back into that, and
I'm so excited.
Like that there's even something out there that's doing that, I think is so necessary, and just really kind of a missed mark for a lot of, like, because like when you described it to me, I was like, I don't know anyone else that's doing anything like this, but it seems so necessary and so healing, and like especially for that wounded feminine energy, to be able to like kind of address it, to be able to bring it to the light, and hopefully continue to heal it too. I just want to make sure this is still recording, but I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. And how can people connect with you? How can they stay in touch with you?
Oh God, you know, I'm terrible on the socials, and luckily my business number is my personal number, so I will just give you my cell phone number. You
just call me.
Just call me. Actually, you probably want to text me, because if you call me and I don't know the number, I'm not going to answer. And then if you leave me a voicemail, unfortunately, Shay in 2023 does not listen to voicemails. Okay, so send me a text message.
I love that you're like filling
I'm just like
so Shay 2023 doesn't actually listen.
I don't know what is going on with me, but I'm leaning into it. And like, I have like, I don't know how many unlistened to voices. I just call you back.
Yeah,
like,
I guess it.
Yeah, you know, so I'll just call you back. So just send me a text. So my phone number is 404-593-4216. And seriously, you can call me or text me, and I'm happy to chat at any time. I may not get back to you right away. Like I said before, I do have 3 jobs, but I do believe in showing up and, you know, returning people's phone calls and text messages. So reach out anytime. You can find me on social media. My most active social media profile right now is my yoga profile. So it's at she, her yogi. And